What's going on, everybody? We are live, and Melissa is dancing, and it is sunny outside for the first time in 60 days here in Nashville. I think Jesus is coming. I think Jesus is coming back. It's been flooding for 40 days, 40 nights now, or I don't think that's the correct thing.
I think that was Noah, but
yeah, Noah. Listen, I need a little refresher.
I mean,
but that's
I'm sure Jesus was involved with that, though.
across the board. Jesus was involved. Yeah. We are not diving into the Old Testament. We are diving into performance culture today, and Melissa. So
That's
everyone,
right.
thank y'all for tuning in. We appreciate it a ton. Add us, comment us, let us know where you're tuning in from. We already have a ton of viewers tuning in, so we appreciate it greatly. While we're at it, Dan, I have to ask. I haven't asked it in a bit. What's the weather like in Tampa, Dan?
Tampa.
Come off mute.
Tampa.
I mean,
I was looking it up. 83 beautiful degrees outside.
God,
how are you rocking that
That
beautiful
is just-
jacket in 83
Because I
degrees?
wanted to impress Melissa.
I get it. It just makes sense.
Goal accomplished. Goal accomplished. Appreciate it.
Well, I actually wore my best floral today for Melissa. So, Melissa, I came prepared.
That's
I
right.
got
your
nothing to show for it. I got nothing to show for it.
Yeah,
I cut my beard.
Jake's just happy to be here.
Well, Taylor, I
I'm
mean, Jake, you got the hair, man. You got like
Jake
the
does always
the
have the
dapper
best hair.
You do have the best hair.
Wow.
It's
I
haircut
feel
day.
slighted now.
It's all about your jackets, though, man.
No, I'm losing my hair, so I feel self-conscious whenever I look at Jake.
Dan, did you get that jacket from Jerry?
Easy, killer. I can't talk about that kind of stuff anymore.
Oh,
yeah, all
From
right.
my guy in Hong Kong.
All right,
Melissa, we're
let's
so excited to have you on, hear about performance culture, hear a little bit more of your story. But really, just quick backstory about my personal experience with Melissa and performance culture. Gosh, over 3-4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago is when Vaco, our office here in Raleigh, really didn't have a way of engaging around goal setting for individuals. Frankly, we didn't even have a plan for it. Forget, let alone the software to actually empower us to do it, or the expertise of someone like a Melissa to set us in the right direction. And our managing partner had met Melissa at a tech conference. Totally hit it off about the product. Melissa was great at selling him on the product. Of course, that's what it was. And it's been a huge impact to our team from an engagement perspective, from a goal setting, from just moving the needle in general. And I think that you did a really great job also setting that up to not be like a witch hunt internally for us, but really to be like how are we actually helping you hit your goals? And so if you just want to give a little bit of an overview, I'm a fan. Sign up. Just go find it. I just drop the link right now. We'll just end here, but
that's right. Performanceculture.com.
There it is. But yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit more about like kind of the genesis. I know you all started doing coaching for people and then kind of moved in. Just if you could hear a little bit more about the product itself and how it came to be, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. And Jake, I do agree that meeting you was cool. I think I remember where you sat, like when we were addressing everybody, and it was just a smiling guy that was like super stoked and happy to be there. And Sid Mitchner was the one that I met at the conference, and that was really, really awesome. And you know what? I think the reason why it worked so well, and since then, Vaco Raleigh was actually, the Vaco Raleigh office was the first Vaco office to really come on board with performance culture. And you guys just took it and ran with it. And it was really a rock star team. And, a lot of times I tell people that performance culture really helps companies go from good to great. And it's not that if you're a hot mess, we can't help, but, software at the end of the day doesn't actually fix problems. Culture and leadership is what actually addresses root causes and stuff.
Preach.
That's right. And so, you guys had such a coaching culture to begin with. And Sid Mitchner himself was just an amazing coach. And so it really resonated. Honestly, we hate the word performance review. We just have to have that because that's what the market knows and that's what the market buys. But if you notice, you guys know, because you know the product so well, in the performance review, the manager's notes, you'll notice say coaching notes. And we wanted to call it a coaching session, a coaching conversation instead of a performance review. But again, we gotta have software as a service that people understand when they're looking to replace a bad tool kind of thing. So that's really, I think, why it resonated. And then you guys did so well with it. And just one thing led to another. And it was just a mushrooming effect where now, all of VACO is on with performance culture and expanding. Awesome. Since then, Sid and I have done some roadshow stuff together. Tracy Power, your chief people officer, and I have done some actually pretty high level webinars from a thought leadership and subject matter expertise in the industry, because Tracy is just a rock star when it comes to, all things human resources and talent and development, learning and development, things like that. So it's just a wonderful partnership, and we're really grateful for it. The genesis, yes, our background was as coaches ourselves and consultants. And we were really helping, organizations really of all sizes, but largely the small and medium size. And how after a while you hear the thread of the challenges and the opportunities a lot of times come back to leadership and people. And, talking about the goal tracking and how do you be clear about expectations, but, also, the behaviors, the things that are the harder things to talk about. And a lot of times people don't have the skill set around. So after a while of encountering that, you just start to accumulate, some best practices, and you learn a few things along the way. And we went, actually, the ironic thing is we didn't set out to create a performance management solution. We actually went looking for one that we knew would focus on, performance, but also behaviors and how you really lived out the core values of your organization. We watched too many companies hire for performance and fire for behaviors. So we knew that you had to really approach it.
Write that down.
Everybody's like, whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah. And so we were like, you know what? We couldn't find anything out there that really, gave the equal credence, the equal weight to behaviors as it did performance. You really need both. And so that's where, of course, the management methodology of the performance values matrix, we didn't create it, but we have certainly codified it and used it the best when it comes to performance management solutions out there. So it's been out there for decades, and we started to use that. And, you can start with Excel and some fancy macros, but that is not very scalable, as you can imagine. Yeah. So one thing led to another. And as we worked with our clientele of coaching and consulting clients, and we were able to kind of beta it, eventually we realized we had something special. So we did the whole bootstrap, friends and family, raised a little bit of seed money, said, trust us. We think we've got something here, and can't believe people gave us some money. I'm glad they did. And so we did that. It wasn't a lot, actually, but we got going with it. And this is a novel concept. We use sales to funnel growth. So we really kept bootstrapping it for a long time, up until, we did, and did quite well. We are now in our about 6.5 years old. And late last year, I kind of liken what happened to, we kind of had gotten to the top of the minor leagues, if you will, and got noticed. So then we got brought up to the major leagues late last year with a big infusion from Jurassic Capital out of Durham, North Carolina.
Oh, Joe. Yeah.
Joe Phillippi, that's right, who is, of course, was the CEO and co-founder of Bronto Software, a successful SaaS exit story in the Triangle. So now I have a wonderful partnership with Joe and Kevin Mosley and Chaz Felix, also of Bronto Software. So I get to tap into all of their background and expertise and some resources, obviously. And now we're going to scale this puppy up even more. So really excited about that. So that's where we are today.
That's awesome. I mean, all right, I'm going to try to distill I've got so many questions going to my head, but just so for our viewership, when you guys come into the company, what are 1 to 3 common issues that were a quick fix, or that were, hey, let's just kind of shift you this way, from a perspective that were kind of like aha moments for those companies?
Well, it kind of depends on when companies are coming to us from. Do they already have good systems, procedures, best practices? Do they already have good leadership? And again, they don't have to be perfect, but they at least care about their employees. We can work with a lot if you actually care. We have challenges when someone purchases us because they merely want to get off of paper, and they don't care about the conversations with managers and employees. Sometimes it's a level of HR leader that when approaches us, there's the strategic ones, the ones that also get engagement, employee engagement. They get the much bigger productivity ROI. You actually can get over 225% more productivity out of an engaged and inspired employee versus a merely satisfied employee. It's a Bain & Company research that's on our website. You can get that data. So if you get an HR leader that and other C-level people that understand that, the aha moments, I mean, it's a quick tick up, it's a quick ROI because we're already working with such a good foundation. So we just then, we do bring, of course, with the technology, the automation and the efficiency so that managers now have a quick and easy tool to do one-on-ones, so everybody can recognize and shout out one another. We're integrated with Microsoft Teams, for example. People don't even have to be in our system in order to real quick shout out, hey, when Jake was living out our core value of excellence with this client, I want to give him a high five for that. That kind of stuff, having all of these tools in people's hands to just keep elevating the coaching and development and the goal tracking and always getting that alignment, a little tweaking along the way, you do create a performance culture, the noun of a performance culture. When someone comes to us and they go, in the HR leaders, and we have it when they distrust their own managers and they tell us how bad their managers are or how little they know, we already start kind of shaking our heads, honestly. It's going, if you don't trust your people enough to even build them up and maybe help them be successful and train them, we kind of, honestly, all of us at the office are we kind of hang our heads and we know it's going to be a tough one. We're going to do everything we can for them, but we need leaders. You got to lead by example and to trust your people and to go first and to at least, give your people the tools and resources to do their job effectively.
Melissa, I've got a follow-up. So you come from a financial advisor background?
Yeah, I still actually have that CFP designation. It was too darn hard to get, so I just keep paying my money and doing my CE to keep that.
I don't blame you. So what enticed you about this role? I know you talked a little bit about hiring, for performance and firing for behavior and everything else, but what got you most interested? And then how did you create your first initial product, and what kind of research and development went into creating that? Obviously you've iterated a lot along the way, but where did you start? What does day one look like when you were like, hey, this is an idea that I have?
So that's a great question. And I wonder if you did any of my background research, because it did really, my why, the impetus of why I do what I do is actually from my stint as a financial advisor at one of the largest banks. I did. Then I also went on the investment side and spent a little time in Tampa. So you can imagine what company I was working for then. Yep. So, which was great. That part was good. But going back to, COVID, of course, has done drastic things to everybody, changed so much of the workplace. Before COVID, the financial crisis, right? The worst recession we had since the Great Depression. So I was a financial advisor working at the largest bank during 2008, 2009, and we were taking TARP money. And if you're taking TARP money because you're too big to fail, right? You remember all of that? If you're taking TARP money, you got to real quickly kind of cut some expenses and show, to the American public and stuff that you're treating their money well, right? All kinds of stuff came along with that. So here I am in Wilmington, North Carolina, at the local office, and then we go and buy another investment company during all of that. So I'm leaving off names, but if anybody remembers any of those stories, you know what I'm talking about, which companies I'm talking about. And you're working real hard for half the money because the market, of course, had fallen by 50%. And the bank starts slashing people, starts letting people go to kind of cut expenses like everybody else was. It was really bad to be a banker during those times. And I was on the investment side, which meant if you put up the numbers and the production, they kind of left you alone, which was great. And frankly, I was, just kind of, I didn't have my closest manager, was hundreds of miles away. I just would, took care of my clients. I was fine. But my banking partners, I was watching them and it was like, just you guys on the left, you're gone. You guys on the right, you stay. And they were making the decisions out of the headquarters that nobody really knew these people based on a 6-month tick mark scorecard. Not their years and years of tenure of how they, frankly bled for the client in the bank and did everything the right way. Wow. And I watched how the people that everybody knew was gaming the system And then fast forward to, and this, I'm not throwing Wells Fargo on the bus because all these banks did stuff like this.
No,
you fast
Netflix
forward a couple of
under
years.
The bus for dirty money. It's fine.
There you go. So
we read all about it. Yeah,
they're still paying that price. But you fast forward to Wells Fargo, they got in trouble for some of this stuff. But this is before some of that stuff came out, right? So you knew people were gaming the system, so their tick marks were there. But the behavioral competencies and doing the right thing for the client and right from the bank, everybody knew was not there, right? But the people that were doing the right thing, whose obviously tick marks were lower because, oh my God, the market fell by 50%, right? Why should they be as high? You know, actually should be indicating that something's wrong if they're still at a high level, right? In order just to get your incentive. So I watched how the bank really let the wrong people go and kept the wrong people. And I was like, man, there's got to be a better way. And we're working like crazy. Frankly, I'm pregnant with my first child. And I was like, you know, I don't know what I'm going to do, but it's not this. So I went out on maternity leave and I was like, I'm just not going to come back. And I didn't know what I was going to do. And eventually just started, you know, when you have a baby and stuff, you kind of ease back into things, part-time working and stuff like that. Started talking with a friend of mine that has a local independent insurance agency. And I'm asking her about her business and how she's doing. We're kind of reconnecting after years. And just, you know, about her products and what they're selling. And they're just not tapping into some higher margin products and some other things that a certified financial planner usually addresses versus a regular P&C agent. So she was like, well, you know, could you help us with that? And I'm like, sure. So one thing led to another, and I started helping them. And I quickly became their quote sales manager because there was so much untapped there. There was no coaching, no, you know, goal tracking, no nothing. And I said, you know, there's got to be a better way. So anyway, long and short of that is I met my co-founder, Dallas Romanowski, at that point, and his model of the performance values matrix approach. And I was like, this is it. This could have saved all those jobs at the bank if they would have focused on value attainment in addition to performance. The right people could have been saved. The people that lost even homes during the financial crisis wouldn't have lost their homes. I mean, this was serious stuff, you know, during the financial crisis. So we started working together, kind of spinning that stuff up and got that prototype and then catch up to what I said at the beginning.
So Melissa, question. Let's talk about your software and let's talk about HR, right? HR, right? You hit into this to when we started, HR culture or performance reviews. I would say from a marketing perspective, that's something we're very passionate about, us three, is marketing branding, is very poor, right? Like when you hear like just the word reviews and like, whoa,
I know, so I didn't want to use it.
Right. So let's talk about that, right? Brag about your software, brag about the thought that went into writing it, especially from a copy content, like why you chose the words you did. Talk a little bit about that from like a mindset perspective.
Thank you for asking that. You know, I think I gave you some of my why and my background. I didn't leave a very lucrative career. I could have kept selling financial products. This is super high margin stuff, but it wasn't inspiring. It didn't make me tick. I knew something was wrong when I was in a sales meeting out of town in my hotel room in the morning. And I remember turning on the TV in the hotel room to, you know, CNN or something, because I knew I needed to. And I remember like, I don't care. I really don't care about watching the markets. I care about helping people, but I didn't care. Right. And so it's like, I got to do this stuff makes me tick because I care about people. And that's really what it is, you know. And what I can't stand, and I think all entrepreneurs, this is why we kind of have some similarities, right? We don't like to go with the flow. We like to kind of, you know, go upstream and think outside of the box.
All of us on this call are that way.
Yeah, right. And so
you might have seen my performance culture dip when I went away from the flow for a second and came right back.
That's right. You know, exactly.
Who has the highest of the three of us?
I'm not saying that. I'm not going there.
It's because it's me. I get it.
Y'all are awful. You made me lose my train of thought. It's okay. Oh no. Okay. So
writing, marketing, branding within.
No, I got
HR.
I am incredibly passionate about the conversations being effective right? And being worthwhile in the relationship. The last thing I want to be a part of is a compliance tool and a tick mark. Going back to what I was saying, like what my big why back in watching all those people, it's a waste of time. Like, don't even do it at all. And don't even do performance reviews at all if you're not going to do them well. You're actually going to create a net negative effect on your culture and a net loss on the productivity and your bottom line. So that's kind of how I feel about it. So we're really out there to change all of that, which is why the system is loaded with coaching guides, coaching videos, tutorial videos. We continue to expand on that. That's why our customer service is like real people that actually get coaching and consulting.
Yeah.
It's not, people that are, they don't even understand if you're just asking for a password, like we put a lot of intentionality into everything that you touch within performance culture. And that's why everything from the very beginning in the software implementation on that onboarding consulting is, tell us about your culture. Do you have a set of core values? If you don't, we've got a whole litany of lists of behavioral competencies to support and operationalize your core values. We'll help you with that, because we believe starting with mission, vision, core values, and then goals is really the proper way that's going to have this be sustainable. So we are a different approach. We're different software. That does mean that we are a little niche focused versus large market, where again, if all you care about is automation, I'm just gonna be straight up, we're not your game. If you actually want to make a difference on the culture side and the real sustainable and profitability growth, then we're your people.
Yeah. Which reminds me, I actually have 2 connections I need to make for you, or you connect me to that guy. I need to make that. So I'll get back to that afterwards.
Good, thank you.
Guy, I'll make that connection with that person.
We're not cool enough to be involved.
The thing and the place and the stuff. Yeah, awesome. So okay, how do you deal with problem children in an organization that is now maybe not used to monitoring or setting those goals, and someone kind of wants to be left alone? Have you had to experience that and like kind of overcome, whether it's the leadership or a team member? And then have you had the ability to make that person become more engaged through use? And how does that work? I know you can't like just change people, right? But have really better process and like caring about who will change their attitudes, right? So
and I don't do this on a daily basis anymore, because I've got amazing team members that, I've really poured into and developed too, so that they're now doing this. And so the account managers are skilled like this, and we still do, even though we don't like to do a ton of professional services and a lot of consulting still, we still will do that for our particular clients in order to help them maximize the ROI of the software. So we're getting back on planes. We've shifted to a lot of virtual performance management training, performance review training, manager training. We do EQ, emotional intelligence training. We do some leadership training. We're certified DISC and also certified Clifton Strengths Finders. So we do, that's what I'm saying. We really we approach it from a different background. And so our account managers will work, and really the performance values matrix itself kind of forces conversations that it kind of makes hard conversations easier to have, because you have to codify as leaders, HR manager, whoever's going to create that template. You need to kind of write down and get clear, what are your expectations? What are the behaviors? And what are we looking for when we look at a VACO employee? What do we want them to look like and act like? And what I mean by that is their actions, their words, and when they're in the community. And you're like, that's got to be a VACO employee, like that kind of thing, right? So getting that, it kind of just by nature of the configuration of the software forces you to do some good habits, some good business habits that you probably should have been doing all along. So that kind of helps. And then when you have those first conversations, Jake, I don't know if you can remember early days with performance culture, but your first round of performance reviews, and I told Sid, just watch what happens. There's going to be conversations that needed to have happened like a year and a half ago. They're going to happen. So be prepared. And but it's going to get easier, right? Every time. And that's exactly what he's talked about.
It gave us honestly, it gave us a really great voice and to have, or a really good template to have those constructive conversations leading up, that we just didn't, not that it was a closed door, but just the avenue to actually have them in a structured or constructive way just didn't really exist, because we had them like in passing, like, it was very open culture, but there was this like, man, okay, let me slow down enough as an employee to figure out, all right, let me contribute to my culture and leadership and give great feedback, and vice versa, instead of just in passing. And, and it's great. It's great.
That's interesting you say that, because that's kind of what Sid said recently when we did some a little joint webcast thing somewhere. But anyway, he was talking about how for him as a coach, it helped him kind of not be distracted by the shiny object. Like the people that you kind of naturally talk to, or are easier to talk to. You just kind of it's you click with, and sometimes you end up accidentally giving them more time and attention and coaching than the other ones that maybe just either they're more introverted, or it's a different personality, or different whatever it might be. And it's not that you don't care, but it just you're human. We're human. Yeah. And what he said is it forced me to make sure that I'm kind of having that sacred time with each employee to help each employee have a chance to be successful. And you've obviously watched what's happened with your region. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're not going to bump into that person anymore, right? So you got to purposefully do it. So, yeah.
I have a quick question. How do you coach companies that maybe don't have a coaching culture to use the data to actually learn how to coach, right? And not just tell them, hey, this is where you need improvement, but actually improve?
Again, great question. We try to, I would say, lead a horse to water. That the system is loaded down with extra video tutorial trainings. I've done little bite-sized coaching videos in there. There's also those coaching guys that kind of tell you about next step. We actually even have a video that's called After the Grid, Now What? And that means after you've had that first conversation, like how do you kind of coach them up into being those star employees, right? High performers, high value attainment. So we try to give a lot away for free, in the form of the subscription of the software. So I guess it's not free because you're paying for the subscription, but it's included, right? And then people do still contract with us for that. I'll tell you, the larger organizations that have more than I feel so bad for my HR directors of one, or my HR departments of one. I hear that a lot. And we certainly have a lot of those, and God bless them, man. They are carrying like the weight of the world on their shoulders, especially through COVID. But if we have a couple of team members in HR, and I get excited when I'm talking to a client that if they have a talent and development person, or a chief people officer like you do, or a VP of HR, I'm like, all right, you got somebody on here that's been exposed to things like engagement and inspiration. They understand the data, they understand coaching, and they're usually going to have some form of their own internal training, or they're very receptive to listen to us help them, because we're not trying to be gum that gets stuck to the bottom of their shoes on the consulting stuff. We are really trying to give them stuff that they can just, kind of keep going and building their own internal program. People do lunch and learns with our videos, for example, show them all day long. Yeah.
So that's Melissa, cool. I have a question, and I know we've obviously talked about your platform this entire time, but I want the viewers and the listeners now and forever, because that's how content works, right? What is like the one thing that really separates y'all's software, y'all's give us something to where that's why you have to use performance culture?
Yeah. The performance values matrix. We're the only one that's doing that, and doing it at least the way we're doing it, and doing it so well where it actually makes a difference and it works. It just works. Okay. That's that. And the company itself. So if you're looking for a partnership and not just a vendor, just talk to our people. I mean, Jessica Schneider at Self-Esteem Brands, that's the parent company for Anytime Fitness, Wax in the City, Bar Method, those franchises. Anderson Windows and Door, Katie would talk to you too. All these people would say, look, performance culture, the reason why we chose performance culture is that we also knew that we had a partner and not just a vendor that's going to help us be successful and be invested in our success. So those two things, performance values matrix and just who we are as a company.
That's so good. Well, that was a great way to wrap up. Thank you, listeners. That was Melissa Phillippi, CEO and co-founder of Performance Culture. Please go to performanceculture.com. We use it. We love it. You should use it too. You should love it. Thank you so much for joining us today. Yes, it was really, truly a pleasure. And
thank you guys.
We'll look forward to chatting with you soon.
Yeah,
a lot of fun.
Thanks y'all.
Bye.